Hello, everyone. I am Kelsey Lemon, Technical Marketing Manager for the Cloud Management Business Unit here at VMware. And I want to welcome you to our Day 2 Mastery Series, where we focus on providing you tips and tricks to help you get the most out of the Skyline service. And today, we're going to go outside of our regular series format and include another customer interview. And today, I'm happy to say that we have Jesus Garcia, who is a senior network systems analyst over at Klein ISD in Houston, Texas, and he's going to share his team's experience with Skyline. And so, a little bit of background information about Klein. Klein is a independent school district in Texas whose mission is to ensure that every student enters with a promise and exits with a purpose. They're a relatively new customer for Skyline who recently adopted it into their environment that consists of a vCenter as well as vRealize operations. And again, while I don't want to steal any of Jesus's thunder here, but what I thought was really great about his story was his immediate recognition of Skyline's ability to mitigate issues right out of the gate and really help Klein avoid those unscheduled downtimes, which is something that's even more important right now for all the infrastructures that we're managing right now in these very challenging times. And so with that, you know, I'm going to turn it over to the star of our show here. So Jesus, can you give the audience a little bit of background about yourself, please?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Jesus Garcia, and I am the Senior Network Systems Analyst here for Klein ISD. Klein ISD is located on the northwest side of Houston, Texas. There's over 55,000 plus kids and 6,000 staff members, and they're all stretched across 50 campuses. Uh, it takes a little over 400 servers and over a petabyte of storage to support everything that is needed in the school district. And that's pretty much what we're in charge of here on the server team. Everything VMware, Nutanix, SQL, Windows, Compellent, Linux. If it's running in the data center, we gotta fix it.
Most definitely. And so with that, Jesus, why don't we just go ahead and just dive into our first question here? Again, like I said, obviously, these are some very interesting times that we're living in right now. The way that people, the way that they're learning is changing, right? Schools are offering a combination of on-prem or virtual and even online learning as we sort of all adapt to this new normal, if you will. And so I'm thinking that the stability of your infrastructure is top of mind. And so with that being said, can you give us a snapshot of your digital transformation and your business continuity focus areas, please?
Yeah, so we're offering here a hybrid model. So we have students that are studying online, and then we also allow students to study on-prem if they wish. So what we leverage Skyline for is to ensure that our systems, everything going on within VMware stays online. So all our kids here, we're here for the kids. All our kids, they enter with a promise and they exit with a purpose. And in order to ensure that that happens, we can't afford downtime.
Most definitely, most definitely. And so, um, so as a follow-up, to that question, right? How has your company adapted and maintained that business resiliency in the current environment, and what role has Skyline played in that endeavor?
Yeah, so Skyline has been a culture changer here for us at Klein ISD. Uh, Before Skyline, we were a reactive team. A issue with the host will occur, or there'll be an issue within the VMware environment, and we would react to that issue and we would mitigate that issue. So what Skyline offered us here at Klein is the ability to be proactive, the insights that tells us on the dashboard of what potential issues are with the affected clusters and what could happen allows us to really address those issues ahead of time.
Very good. And so, that's great. And one of the things that I'm hearing obviously right now is that, teams are being pushed right now to do more with less resources. And so with that being said, would you consider Skyline an extended member of your team that enables you all to be even more efficient?
Yes, absolutely. Skyline offers that proactive insight that we're all, I guess, being challenged to do. So our workloads, like you said, are ever increasing. We are having to add more storage to our compellent SANs. We're having to add more hosts to our VMware clusters to support all of these students across all these different campuses. And somehow we're supposed to find time to be proactive. And
Right.
that's what Skyline does for us. It allows us to close that gap um, within our ever increasing workload.
That more valuable work, like you said, that's definitely key. And so that's great. So thank you for that insight there. Um, and so, with the next question here, so can you speak to why your organization adopted the service in the first place? And has your uses of Skyline changed over time?
Yeah, so we actually found out about it on a call with VMware. So we had a host that had a purple screen to death. We opened up a ticket with support, and while we were on the phone with support, the engineer actually told us that this could have been preventable if we had Skyline in our environment. So we could have known about the issue beforehand, and that was an eye-opener for us. So that kind of led to the curiosity about the product. Soon as we mitigated that issue, the same engineer helped us deploy the collector, and it started collecting all the information within our environment, and it told us what was going on there. So yeah, like same week, we saw issues within our environment, which was surprising, honestly, in the beginning, because we thought we were doing a great job. We were following best practices across the board, and Skyline really opened our eyes as to what our shortcomings were.
Good to hear that. Good to hear that. And so, as a follow up to that question, right? Hey, Susan, is one of our newest customers, and for the benefit of those in the audience right now who is just really sort of investigating the benefits of Skyline, what do you personally feel is the most powerful or compelling reason for organizations to adopt a proactive support technology like Skyline?
Yeah, so I mean, working at K through 12, cost is always going to be a factor. So if like your other customers, your other viewers here that are watching right now, if you have a production support contract with VMware, Skyline is free. It's included. You don't have to pay anything extra, and you can invest that time now. So invest the time, download the collector. You don't have to pay for anything, and save some headaches tomorrow. I mean, it it really is that simple.
That's great. And with that being said, how do you um, quantify the benefits, if you will, that Skyline is providing, and how are you reporting those benefits upwards to management?
Yeah, so I mean, I can talk to y'all about this from a boots on the ground perspective. Our workloads are just ever increasing. We're supposed to find time to be proactive, and Skyline frees up that time for us. It shows us pretty much the answers to the test. And what we can do with those answers is we can submit them to our change management process. So that's probably a word you guys have heard before. We're supposed to be using change management and not effectively using it. What we do with Skyline is we collect the information on the dashboard and we just export it. So we export it. Uh, Upper management knows what the potential issues could be. It knows which clusters could be affected by those issues. And we just submit it through our change control process now.
That's awesome. One of the things that I'm picking up there is, like you said, that data, right? That data provides you that insight to make those informed decisions. And so that's great to hear that. And since that, obviously, getting issues resolved, or better yet, avoiding them altogether, is a key component of your job. And so with that being said, how do you develop and implement your remediation plans?
I think one of the slick things about the Skyline portal is that when you do uh, see one of the issues and you click on it, it takes you to a VMware KB article, and those articles are super detailed. Provides you all the information that we need as the VMware admins on the team to resolve the issue. And what we can do, it gives us the information that we need as admins, and it also gives the information that upper management needs. So we can, again, export the information from the Skyline portal and submit those changes to change management. And when it does get approved, we already know what to do because Skyline gave us the answers to the test.
Oh yeah, that whole idea of exporting that data, that documentation piece, that component is very, very key. And like you said, Skyline keeps record of all the issues, the impacted objects, and even tells you when they were even first observed in the first place. So I can imagine that that type of insight just really cuts down on the documentation process and just really um, gives you all a leg up when it comes to the discovery of issues and maybe even contribute towards helping towards like root cause analysis and things like that as well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely helped us out here a lot. I mean, if you guys aren't using the product yet, for sure, take a look at it.
And so let's talk about log assist. That's one of Skyline's sort of like hero features, right? It's definitely a customer favorite. So with that being said, can you tell us how you're using log assist and elaborate more on the benefits that it provides? Maybe even set some context by talking about life before and after log assist.
Yeah, so I use Log Assist pretty much all the time now. The way I used to do it before, it's probably the same way the viewers are doing it now. I mean, if they're not using Skyline, what they're having to do is they're having to open a case with VMware, and you get assigned a technical representative, and then that representative is going to ask for logs, and then you got to export those logs from your cluster, and you're going to have to submit it to them. They're going to give you some recommendations, and then after some time, they're going to ask for more logs. And there's this back and forth thing that's going on between you and support, trying to identify the issue, trying to see if the changes that they're recommending is working. And sometimes they ask for logs after hours, right? So I'm not here 24/7. I've gotten emails after hours asking for logs. And what do I do? Do I VPN in and submit the logs? Sometimes I have to wait till tomorrow. Stuff happens. What Log Assist actually allows um, everyone to do, what I'm doing right now, it allows us to export the logs from the portal to our technical support engineer. And what I turn on this auto approve feature. The auto approve feature allows the engineers to come into the environment and collect the logs whenever they need to. So they don't have to come to me. They could come to my teammate, Skyline, and he can send them the logs whenever they want it.
And that's key, that whole idea of going from this whole notion of the traditional process, right, where you're manually, collecting the log data and sending it, Log Assist automates that process and it's so much faster. I'm actually hearing from customers that Log Assist is actually 17 times faster than traditional, transfer methods like FTP. And like you said, that whole piece around auto approve, the TSCs are working even when you're not. And so they're able to get in there and get those log bundles when you're not available. And last but not least, and I've got one last question for you, Jesus. What best practices and tips and tricks would you give to your peers who are interested in using Skyline?
Yeah, so we're a Dell house here, and we leverage Dell Support Assist. So for all you guys that also leverage that technology, it integrates into Skyline. And we also use VROM, and VROM also integrates with Skyline. So it can collect all these data from all these data points, and Skyline actually does something really productive with all of it. All the insights, all the recommendations, upgrade recommendations, potential issues, the criticality of all those issues. It all comes from Skyline. So having all these other appliances that it can integrate with and collect data from, it's just going to make your environment, um, it's going to give you more insights as to what's going on in your environment. It's going to help everybody out.
And I'm really glad that you mentioned that whole piece around integration and interoperability. Um, Skyline right now has even tighter integration and interop with vRealize operations. As a matter of fact, our new dashboard has been updated to reflect that integration, right? So now when you go into Skyline, customers can get an operational overview that provides insight into cluster, host, and even VM configurations directly within Skyline. And as a sneak peek, for those of you who are going to be attending future webinars, we're going to go into more detail about Skyline's integration within vRealize Operations Cloud. And with that, Jesus, my friend, I want to thank you for your time and your insight. I'm sure your peers in the audience is going to really appreciate all this great information that you share it with them. And again, no webinar would be complete without a call to action. And so as we conclude today's Day 2 Mastery Series webinar, I want to encourage you all to adopt on the spot and start using Skyline today. All you have to do is just go to the Getting Started link here on this page to install the service. We even have a way to test drive the service. So all you have to do is just go to the Hands-on Lab link and you can try it out in our very safe sandbox environment. And you can also visit the other URLs listed here for additional information like FAQs. And if you still have questions, Skyline has a very active community that's being moderated. And so we encourage you all to check that out as well. And with that, I want to thank you all for attending, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on future webinars. Again, thank you, Jesus.
Thanks for having me.